I'm an intellectual. I'm an intellectual. I'm an intellectual.
Yo, it's your boy Kim. Question: have you gotten your FYI merch yet? Yes, Fly Young Intellectual now has merch available for purchase on our website at www.flyyoungintellectual.com. Head over there and cop your merch today, where we inform, inspire, and interact through not only conversation, but through design. Peace. What's going on, people? It's your boy Cam, and welcome back to another episode of the Fly Young Intellectual Podcast. On this episode, we have TK Petersen on the show. We talked about his upbringing on the island of St. Croix. We talked about his love for the Virgin Islands and what he would like to see changed. His journey to Georgetown University and meeting his roommate, who then became co-founders of The Gathering Spot with him. The Cane Cutters Initiative, and so much more. Sit back, relax, and tune in to the mind, TK Petersen, on this episode. Peace. TK, what's going on, bro?
Doing well, brother Cam.
How are things up north? I heard you up in the DC area, and we'll get to that. But talk to me. How you been holding through a COVID?
I've been good, man. I've been socially distancing, wearing my mask, getting my COVID test regularly because, I still been working throughout the pandemic and still interacting with people. So I just try to make sure I'm being safe and always checking as to making sure I'm not being someone potentially spreading the disease. But God spare life for y'all looking out. I've been blessed, and looking forward to being able to get this vaccine and hopefully putting this all behind us soon.
Right, man. That's all we all hoping for at this point, man. To find some semblance of normalcy at this point, and just trying to get back to whatever regular life looks like post this. So I definitely feel you on that, man. So grateful to have you on the Flying Intellectual Podcast, bro. This is a long time coming. I'm very honored and honestly just elated to be able to hold you for a few minutes, because I know you're a man that has not much time. But for you making time for me, man, we're very appreciative of that. And I would just really love to share your story. I consider you, the highest level of what I consider a flying intellectual. And, you come from where I come from. And I consider you one of the standards of someone who got out and made something of themselves and is really giving back at a high level. And, I think that's a story that young people, old people, and everybody in between needs to hear. And I believe my platform needs to hear that as well. So how about we start from the roots, man, from the very beginning. You from where I'm from, which is St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and you from the east side.
Yes, sir.
Which was actually surprising to me. For some reason, I thought you was a West man.
I
guess you have that. Your East man have a swag to them too, but you just kind of work your way through as a Crucian through and through. So talk about it, growing up in Welcome, and how just St. Croix as a island affected and influenced you.
Yeah. Before I even jump into that, I just want to take a second to pause. I said, give thanks, man. I don't take the opportunity lightly. It's a big deal for anyone to want to speak with me and to explore my story and to want to put it on your platform is humbling, and I appreciate that and all the kind words you said to begin with. And if we don't value our own stories and stories from outside our culture, we can't ever get anywhere. So you're doing critical work, and it's a blessing to be here. So I wanted to set up before we dive.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot, bro.
Yeah, man. And then I a born Eastman, as how we would describe it on the island. Both my mother and father, sides of the families, both come from Outer Gallows Bay. So true and true, the bloodline is from the eastern side of the island, but I don't really consider myself a Virgin Islander at the core. So all of the lands is ours. We from all the parts, and my own bloodline is like that, where both my parents from St. Croix and their parents from the various islands. I get ancestry and bloodline through the BVI as well. So proud to be a Virgin Islander in every sense of the word. And but what part of our culture is that we are what I like to call provincial in or almost tribe like in the culture that we grew up with, particularly on St. Croix. So my family is proud to be from the east side of the island, particularly. Um, my father, he's a really, really proud Eastman, and even he don't really care to even go to the west side of the island too much. But um,
Crazy.
yeah, that's the type of mindset that I have from
Yeah.
but it only get 84 square miles, so I ain't about to limit myself to one side or the next. And
Facts.
it's a part of the reason that I some people think I from West and stuff is because I graduated from St. Joseph.
Okay.
So I used to spend a lot of time out west, and
Yeah.
I get my godfather and godbrother them is people from west. So I used to not live, but be out Hannah's Rest and cooling all the way down them sides a lot of times. So a lot of good times out west, but primarily growing up, spending time in Strawberry and Welcome, and especially a lot of time in Strawberry because I was raised by my mother and by my grandmother, so strong matriarchal family that I came from, and my grandmother especially is proud to be from Gallows Bay and proud of everything. My grandmother was part of the first graduating class from Central, so
wow, history all the way through.
yeah, man, yeah, and I think for anyone listening to this, one of the things that I've come to value a lot is really spending time and talking to my grandmother and my godmother and all of my elders, and to really understand the things that they've accomplished and done. Because growing up, I'd say that I had a very I didn't have a feminist mindset back then, and I would say that I do now. And part of that was I only saw my mother and my grandmother as a mom and a grandmother, and not realizing them as full-fledged humans who had their own desires and goals and passions and opportunities. So recently, just talking to my grandmother and learning that my grandmother was the first woman trained as a draftswoman on the island. So, like, for those who aren't familiar, that's like architectural work. And she was the first woman on St. Croix to be certified as an apprentice, and she gets sent to the States into an apprenticeship program and all that stuff. And my grandmother ended up retiring from the National Guard as a master sergeant. And a lot of her career, she was the first woman and the first female Virgin Islander to do a lot of things. And I'm blessed to be someone who has achieved some level of success in his life and been featured in publications and things, and talking to my grandmother and realizing that some have done the same things, been featured in the local news, been met U.S. senators and met presidents and all those types of things. And I think it's important to realize that we're as according to the song, standing on the shoulders of giants, and we are really continuing a lineage of amazingness. And it's something that I always try to push back against when I think we get in a habit of, when we're talking amongst ourselves as Virgin Islanders, because we know our own business and know the failings of our culture and the negative things that have happened. I think we oftentimes think too poorly of what we've accomplished as Virgin Islanders and what we have done. And we think about the successes like a one-off, like, oh, I mean, Rock City, that's just them man, or Pressure is just them man, or the man who is a big-time song Ricardo in Atlanta, or Deion Parsons who's a jazz man. Like none of these people is one-off. Like we come from a culture of excellence and overachievement, and I think feeling that we're an extension of that is important. At least it was for me, because I'd say one of the biggest things that I've come to value, and I think that I can trace a lot of the success I've had, is I was instilled with a super sense of self-belief and ability to do things, thanks to my mother and my grandmother, thanks to them and saying, like, you could really be anything that you want to be, and not in like a jokey, like
Nah, like a definitive absolute.
And it's like, if I say like, hey, grandma, I want to be a pilot, and it's like, okay, then look up how to be a pilot and then do that, and you could make it happen. And that type of support and push is something that I took for granted. But by going to college and interacting and meeting more people from different families and realizing what it's like to not have that type of support, is something I cherish so much more so now. And even being from the Virgin Islands, to the sense where like I come from a very large family. Like I feel like almost every other person is my cousin on the island, and that's a blessing, because I've been living in the States for a long time, a good while now, since I graduated from high school in 2008. And it's different to not have family all over. It's different to not have somebody you could call to come and look out for you. You could, in pretty much any part of St. Croix, like if I need a nurse, I got a cousin that's a nurse. If I need someone who work at Plaza, I got a cousin or a god brother or uncle or somebody. Like there's always somebody. And, that level of connection and trust is something that I think we often take for granted living in our small community. There's upsides and downsides to everything. And the downside, we always talk about, everybody know our business, but the upside is that you trust those people, and you know them people, and such and such from down the street know your father from time he was a little boy, or your mother from grade school, and they'll look out for you, or I feel like you're part of a larger network. Where
absolutely.
In the States, you don't really have that same level of feel. Like I really believe the Virgin Islands is all that we land. And I come the same way I comfortable walking around my partner yard is the same way he comfortable walking around my yard. And because of that, the lands is all ours. And then we starting to see now where it's like when people coming in with a different mindset of like, this ain't supposed to go, this private property, you can't go here, you can't do
right. Taking it away from us. We can't even roam our own land anymore.
And understanding that this is our land for real, and ain't nobody doing we no favors, and I think really understanding to our next level that who cares if these people have more money. Like some things is just about what's right and what's wrong, and not about money in a sense. Where because I've talked to man that I grew up with, and it's like, I mean, yeah, the last set of our beaches is Virgin Islands Beach, but if you buy $1 million land, you wouldn't want a man on top of it. But it don't matter what you want; it's about what.
Right.
And land. Nobody in create land. Is Jah give us land? So who's you to say that you can't go to the beach? That's a part of our culture. That's like I remember that story where it had a black man who had a house up north side, and the man put the bowlers up on the street to.
Mr. Coffee, that's
man. Them type of thing ain't supposed to go on. And even I'm glad the community pushed back the way that we did, and we get a man to acquiesce. But even then, it shouldn't be. The man shouldn't have even been comfortable enough to even get to that point. We shouldn't even need to rally to that point where you can't be comfortable not liking black people and living in the Virgin Islands. I sorry, you shouldn't be comfortable like that. And not to say that you're going to get just random people doing violence to you. I think it should not be violent, but it should be within our means and within the conversation. We have to make it clear that we don't allow those type of things, and that we will use the same government, legal, and regulatory framework that is used against us systemically to prevent us from having opportunity and any type of privilege in the world overall. But most of us know firsthand in the States the different regulations and redlining and discrimination with the face. And ain't about tit for tat, but it's about cultural preservation. If I wanted to buy a house in Georgetown in Washington D.C., they said that's a historic neighborhood, and they said when you buy this, you're moving into a historic neighborhood, so you gotta move X, Y, and Z ways. It don't matter if you spend $20 million or $50 million.
No, you still gotta abide by these regulatory laws that abide for this city of Georgetown.
And it's like, and because the community, the neighborhood association, the people them who have invested and their taxes particularly control the Georgetown area have decided like this is how we want things to move. And if they want to make an exception, they can make an exception. But it don't matter if you're Mark Zuckerberg or the latest Powerball winner. The housing guideline regulation is the housing guideline regulation, and you have to file in place, and they don't feel no type of way about it. I went to the college I went to is Georgetown, and Georgetown is the largest private employer in Washington D.C. and also is a big part of the reason the Georgetown area even matters. But even the school and all of its power and all of its influence, they sometimes get tripped up by the neighborhood, because the neighborhood is the neighborhood, and it's like you could do certain things, but you can't do everything you want to, because we live here and we to pay taxes, and this our land too. Like, and I'm hoping that our people continue to have that same type of backbone. I think that's always something that's made St. Croix particularly special, the land of the fire burn, the land of Fountain Valley.
Of course.
Like, we as people that we don't put with certain things to certain levels. And to me, it's time to take the extra step, and it going from being that we don't just take disrespect, but that we demand abundance. And it is abundance that is ours to be had.
Absolutely. And man, you already done drop so many gems, bro. But the crux of the matter is, it is ours. And once again, I was just home a month ago, and I went looking for some land myself, and Kai Nielsen and I were on Dorsch Beach. Shout out to Kai. He's been on the podcast himself as well. Now a commissioner with the government, and he, we were sitting there, and Mr. O'Reilly, former military Mr. O'Reilly, shout out Mr. O'Reilly from Calhoun. He came and he was showing us a piece of land that he bought across from Dorsch Beach, and he gave us a scenario where he was taking some friends bike riding up where he bought the land, and a piece of land next to it, a lady came out and was like, "Hey, where y'all think y'all going?" And he was like, what do you mean, ma'am? We riding a bike. We ride bikes here all the time. And the woman said, nah, you don't. Like, I bought this land. You can't ride through here no more. And he got so enraged for somebody who was a multi-generational Crucian who has, fought for this country, represented this island, and has raised children here, and and he was so flabbergasted and so mad, because he was just like, yo, how can you tell me that I can't even ride a bike on a trail, something that was known as a trail? It's not like he's literally just in the bushes riding. Like, so it's a place where it was known to be ridden, and this woman is telling him straight up, like, nah, you can't really come through here. And it really just lets us know that, one, we must demand what's ours, and we must make sure that we are pulling together and we are uniting and making sure that we own what is ours. And it sucks that we have to fight for it, but what in this world don't you have to fight for? But I do believe, as a people, our generation especially, we must fight, and we must make sure that we stand together, because we're stronger together than as individuals, no matter what we are doing, and make sure that we are getting the birthright that comes with being born and raised in the United States.
100%. Yeah, and then to me, what that speaks to is that parts of our system aren't working properly, because what a comparison I always like to point out is that when you go to these rural towns, or even you don't even got to call them rural. If you go to a racist town in America, it don't matter how much money you have. You could be Oprah, Diddy, whoever rich black person you want to use as this example. If you buy a house in that man's town, they're going to make it so uncomfortable for you. They ain't even got actually put their hands on you. They're not going to make it so terrible for you, from the local police to the local judge to the local people at the coffee spot, that they're going to make it clear that, boy, it don't matter if you have $1 billion. These parts ain't going to move the way that you want. And I think we have to have that same type of just stubbornness, which is that, like,
militant mindset.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Like, these people just stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, and ain't nothing really happened to them. Most of them, they're free on bail, no bail. They didn't even have to pay nothing. Only the black dude who was out there with them still there in jail. And it's like, yo, what should have happened is that like he should have been able to call the police, and then that woman get written up for harassing a pedestrian or something. Like that's how it work.
Right.
That's how it work in the Bab. I've interacted with certain levels of institutional discrimination where it's just like, man, hats off. Like this is how I don't make sure that Black people can't really have opportunities. And
right.
there's just a level to the game that they're willing to play that I think many of us, because we're not exposed to it and we want to believe that the world is more just, don't realize that like the game is rigged, and the same way the game is rigged, we could rig that game back home. Because as soon as you said something like, yeah, we need to make it so that only locals could buy, the first response is going to be, but we under America, dying how it'll work, you can't do it, so. But there's other ways. But like because we're so, a lot of us are defeated in our mind already. And it's like we just
mindset. It's mindset is everything. Absolutely.
Like I was talking to one of my partner them the other day when I was home a couple of weeks ago, and he had told me something that really blew my mind and changed how I'm thinking about things. Where he was just like, "Yo, what you don't realize is most people that we grew up with are still colonialized in their mind." And so he's like, you ever think about when people talk about St. Croix being independent, how people will react, and they'd be like, that could never happen. We'd starve to death. And what that really means is that you believe that we as adult Black people need a white person from the States to be able to make sure that we're going
to come and spend their money for us to live.
And once you believe that, everything, you've already lost everything. Because then when somebody from the States come down and they tell you, no, you can't stand there, you need to stand over there, or you need to turn down your music and it ain't supposed to have no Trump, because you believe that there's the one providing for your livelihood and your comfort and your security, and you'd be nothing without them. Of course, you're going to step to the side. Of course, you're going to be like, man, I don't like how these not moving, but so you go, what are you supposed to do? By telling you, you can, if you go to, you ever hear of a sundown town? You know what that is? Okay, so in the Bab, they call any place where even like back in some of them still exist now, but back in Jim Crow times and stuff, after slavery was abolished, and even though it was legal that Black people could have been wherever they wanted to, they had tongues that they called sundown tongues, which just meant if the sun go down and use a Black person in that tongue, them man allowed to do whatever they want to you. Just meaning that they're about to lynch you. They could kill you and ain't nothing going to happen to you. And they still exist. I talked to man in Georgia and Virginia, and ain't just in the South. They actually get more sundown tongues in the States and Midwest than in the South. But they'll tell you, if you talk to somebody who work in at like the local utility company, still out in the field doing stuff that been out after a storm, you talk to the Black man and they'll tell you they get certain parts of these states that they go to, and they'll tell them, they come to a big man and tell you, boy, you're kind of not supposed to be around here. And they don't care that they don't have no power. They'd rather not have no power than have a nigga fix something for them.
Right. Wow. That's crazy. And that's the thing, is the kind of this is how America has been rigged. And it's parameters that we've had to navigate, and we still are navigating in 2021, which is unfortunate, but it is, as you said, it's kind of how it's been set up, and we really just kind of abiding by those laws. So we have to find ways to create laws that will make sure that we, the Virgin Islanders, are benefiting at the highest level. So and another thing, before we move forward, that I think was very, very important, and I want to make sure that the listening audience caught on to that. To the ability to break through mindset, right? To even say that, hey man, a TK is not a one-off, right? A Chem is not a one-off. A Pressure is not a one-off. And no, you could do it too. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to look at these men like, yo, that's unattainable. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I created Flying Intellectual, because to me, it's just about, once you get that mindset correct, and once you really honestly believe in your heart that you could be anything that you want to be, the world is yours. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that means to you, whatever the capacity you want that world to be to you, the world can be yours. And I think our young people really and truly have to get the mindset correct first. They have to understand that, look, man, you know what I'm saying? You work your tail off, you work harder than anybody else, and you set your mind on a goal, You know what I'm saying? And we know that there are, you know, systematic things that we've been talking about that have been set in place. However, I do believe in 2021, as we speaking right now, the playing field is a lot more even than it has ever been. It will never be even, but because of the internet, one, of course, the internet, they can't shut all the doors that they used to. You know what I'm saying? You know, before the internet, a man could literally shut a door on you and say, nah, you can't get this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? With the internet, I feel like the opportunities were made vast and abundant. And yes, there are still obviously things that are very imperfect. But I do believe our young people have an opportunity like never before to be whatever they want to be. And it starts with that mindset and knowing, hey, man, I really literally, it's not a figure of speech. It's not one of these isms. You literally could be anything that you want to be, as long as you really, really, really are devoted and
Yeah.
invested in that. So that's very beautiful, bro. So you went to Georgetown, as you're saying, went to Georgetown. You double majored in
Yep.
finance and accounting. Now, I want to transition. You and your roommate Ryan. You tell me about that story and take us to
Okay,
the
but I
gathering
want
spot.
to take a quick step back first because I gotta give credit where credit is due, which is that
No problem.
okay.
Go
So
ahead.
I end up going to Georgetown University, which is one of the best schools in the world. No doubt. Very
Of course.
that is. If I had to choose one single thing that altered the trajectory of my life, I'd say attending Georgetown. It just puts you on a different plane
Wow.
of connections and an understanding of things. But
Okay.
um,
Okay.
to because I actually jump around in the beginning and to give the educational background of myself. First, I'd say I went to school. I went to School of the Good Shepherd. That's a school out west for
Yeah.
pre-K. So
Okay.
I graduate from kindergarten at School of the Good Shepherd. So I went school out west then. So that's part of the West
Okay.
vibes too, I'd imagine. And then
Facts.
I went to Free Will Baptist for
We were
elementary
Baptist.
school
Yes,
all
sir.
the way through middle school. And if I have
Okay.
to give credit for the foundation of my educational ability and intellect, I'd have to give credit to all of my amazing teachers at Free Will. Just the like my ability. I think about my ability to read and break down sentences and all that stuff. Like I really learned all of that in
Yeah.
elementary school, those formative years. So shout out to Miss Parker, Miss
Facts.
Bear,
Shout out
Miss
to Free
Sylvester.
Will. Facts. I went to Christian Academy for those years, so you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
man.
that's kind of like a
My
sister
little brother
school
and
in a lot
sister
of ways.
went to
Yep.
Christian Academy. Yeah. So,
Crazy.
I
Crazy.
got to shout out all of my few Baptist teacher them. And then for junior high, the first couple of years of high school, I should say, I went to a small private school called ASU Academy. And
Yep.
that really I really learned a lot there too. And I gotta give credit to all of the teachers them that we had there, particularly the principal of the school and the creator of the school, um, Mrs. Mrs. Carter. Like she was one of she was also a person who like came to me as a youth and would tell me like, yo, like you really smart, like you going to do something impressive. And it was a little different because she was a white woman. I didn't really have too much white women teachers or people of authority in my life. And she was someone that
Right.
I thought as even as a high school student was really smart and successful. So that mean a lot to me. And some of the predictions she had tell me, like I remember I used to always get bad grades and comments about like my penmanship. And one time she was giving me feedback on how I do on some standardized tests. And she was like, your weakness. And I was like, oh yeah, I know penmanship. But she was like, yo, by the time you're an adult, everything's gonna have a word processor in it, and no one's gonna be writing by hand anymore. So who cares? And I was like, yo, that'd be dope if that's the future. And like, what's
Wow.
the future now, dog? When I can't even I don't handwrite anything. The only thing
Yeah, yeah, it's super rare. I sometimes I can't even find a pen, and I'd be mad with myself, and I'd be just like, I'll just make a note and
yeah,
recheck
and
it.
then I went to St. Joseph for my last 2 years of high school. And to be honest, I really didn't learn a ton at St. Joseph. I wasn't really challenged academically. too much, except for two classes where I did learn a ton in particular. I don't want to disrespect now my teacher them, but I wasn't really the rigor of the coursework wasn't that hard for me. It wasn't that it was bad teachers. It was just it was what it is. But my English teacher,
more curriculum,
like that's where I learned annotating and close reading and critical thinking and writing has always been like my best. Like if we're looking at standardized tests, that's like my best area. So I learned a lot there.
Okay.
And then a life-changing thing that happened that I was fortunate for is that at St. Joseph, a gentleman by the name of Wayne James ended up being our history teacher. And then,
yes. Yeah, the legendary Wayne James. Yes, sir.
You know, he was supposed to teach us 11th grade is supposed to be U.S. history. And I remember him coming in and now that I think about even telling you the story, what I realized is what made me and so many other people in our class love Wayne James was that like that was one of the first times we'd seen a fully free black man, like someone who, because he come into class and he's like, yo, I supposed to teach you U.S. history, but where the hell am I going to teach our U.S. history if I don't even know I St. Croix history and Virgin Islands history and Caribbean history? You're going to have more than enough time. We're going to go through the Caribbean first. Figure what the curriculum said. And just having someone talk to us as students like we're equals and that we're capable of understanding what he just told us, and then explaining the importance of this stuff, and then showing us firsthand research and telling us like, yo, everything you're reading in a textbook is something that somebody first get from firsthand research that they then rephrasing again and putting into a book. So why not just read firsthand research? Is in Wayne James' class. I first learned about the 1733 slave rebellion in St. John. And then like that being an important thing to learn about, and not just like a fun fact, like, you know, November 1st is the Hamilton Jackson Day, like that's a fun fact, but like understanding what led up to that, and understanding the Peter Van Scholten school them and the system them of how they broke out, understanding how the BVI got independence in like 1841, and then we got independence, emancipation from slavery, I should say, independence in 1848, and what that 6 or 7 year difference meant in reality. And you know, just like, because if you have to understand your history and your people to really understand yourself, and you know that those, like Wayne James really changed like the way I thought about life in a lot of ways, and he gave me such foundational knowledge and inspiration that's something I'll forever be thankful to him for, because he like shifting mindsets, like we said earlier, is something that you can't take for granted. And he definitely shifted mine and helped me understand the Virgin Islands at a deeper level. And then understanding that, like, you know, emancipation, what was really emancipation? You get emancipated to go work on the same fucking cane field and make 2 cents instead of 0. And then we do the fire burn, and then what happened after the fire burn? All the Queen then went to jail and died in jail, and then all the men went back to working, and they went from 2 cents to $2 or something. So like it wasn't really like, and then really understanding what these norms is, because we would talk about it, but like life has never been sweet for the black man on St. Croix, the black woman. You know, like we have always, not always, but you know, since the slave trade time, we've been the dominant population, the most race that's been here, but we've never really controlled the most wealth. We have black political leaders, but the richest people in the Virgin Islands is not black people. And I ain't even talking about the and most of us going to think, well, the Arab man get the money. I ain't even talking about the Arab man them still. Like it's white man is still the richest people in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And then understanding that, and then understanding that it's not an insult when I saying, because I get into a debate when I was back home the other day, saying that, you know, the average Virgin Islander is poor. And it's like, what do you mean the average Virgin Islander is poor? I mean, if you look at the stats, the average income for a Virgin Islander is $37,000. We have the highest cost of living in the country. The average Virgin Islander, and I'm relatives with the average Virgin Islander because I've come from a large family. The average Virgin Islander works multiple jobs and is always afraid of the whopper or the cable getting cut off. And like, that's just life. I grew up like that. I grew up in a single parent house. I know it's like when the past due notices come in and thing. So I ain't trying to shame nobody.
Right. Ain't no, we're not clowning nobody for it.
Yes,
We're just talking
we to get
statistics.
defensive, and then we to talk about all the drug man we know that have money and how much goals man and bad man have money, and it's like that's not money. It's like, if we're being honest, that's not money.
Yeah.
Like, money is being able to develop a hotel on the west side of the island and then build your own dock and then say you want to sell it for $6 million after you put in $1 million. That's money. Is like we gotta talk real, and we gotta talk sense.
Yeah. And we have to really talk it to understand it. You know what I'm saying? Even if we do, you know what I'm saying, have disagreements amongst each other, as long as we get into the point. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, as grown men and women, we're gonna have differences in opinion. But the point of the matter is, let's not get so far ahead of ourselves that we miss the point of what it is that the facts of the matter. You know what I'm saying? And I think too long we've back to mindset once again. And who would have thought that mindset was just going to be the underlying thing here? But as in our conversation, but look, our mindset has been crap for too long, bro. And we have this servitude mentality. Unfortunately, and no disrespect, but this kind of mentality is something that we, for generations, have been passed down, and it will take for forward thinkers like yourself to break it. And of course, I already know, TK's kids are going to have a way different mindset, you know what I'm saying, whenever that time comes, because you already did, so much of the work to break that generational curse. And that's so important. And most of the issues we have right now just stems from not just bad infrastructure, but bad mindset infrastructure. And once we break that, then I think the physical infrastructure of the government and how the Virgin Islands operates and stuff.
If I'm being honest, when I was growing up, the only thing I was trying to do, I just wanted to get some wife before I dead. That was my goal. That was my whole thing. I was like, a lot of man I know that get thrown by the time they're 16 and up. My big cousin, one of my favorite people in the world, one of my first inspirations, get stabbed to death when he was 16 years old. Yeah. And growing up, it wasn't sweet and St. Croix. You don't know a man getting trained and jump and kill all the time. So but at the same time, we cruising, so we ain't about to take no disrespect. So if we out and a man mushery or some freak, like, war is war. So every time I go into my house, I don't know, like, if somebody disrespect me to a certain point, I ain't about to take that freak. So, and if me and somebody that's a bad man go back and forth, it don't usually just done with a disagreement or just one fight. So, like, I honestly, that was really, I had a freak up mindset like that. It was just like, man, I just try to get some wife, man, and like, get respect for my cousin them and my partner them.
Yeah. No, we all on that part, my boy. You know what I'm saying? You try at that point for me, it was like, play some sports, you know what I'm saying, be cool, you know what I'm saying? I grew up playing music and was classically trained and all of that. By the time I hit high school, you know what I'm saying, that was a thing in itself as well, that sports and women, man. And you know what I'm saying, that was like, really, that was all it was. And of course, having bad man cousins and all of that, you know what I'm saying, rest in peace to Philly. One of my closest cousins, he got killed in a disagreement. And they came right back to him at our house and killed him. And I remember getting that phone call, and that's when I think my mindset really changed. And I was probably 19 at that point. And of course, people had died for us when we were younger, but that was like that death that really, like, dang, I can't. I idolize him so much and everything that he was about. And and then to see that he got killed by the same, guns and whatnot that he had shown me and whatnot. But all I remember was he, as a cousin, always used to tell me, yo, cuz I don't want you to, what I'm saying, this ain't the life for you. You know what I'm saying? You're a smart kid. You know what I'm saying? Do what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Stay in church, all them kind of stuff. And I think even, as we talk about Batman and all that kind of stuff, for the listening audience, if you're not, a Virgin Island or whatever, we're just talking about gangsters or whatnot. The real gangsters, I feel like they really were not trying to influence anybody else to be a part of that life. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't trying to pressure you. They were trying to, as your family member, hey, man, they saw that a TK had potential and a TK was better and had a better chance, they're
100%.
encouraging TK to do
I literally,
out the
funny enough,
street.
I was just
You know?
telling one of my uncle them this story the other day where I was like, yo, I don't even know, but like in high school, our cousin them that sell con, I was trying to get down with them, man, because I was trying to get some money. I mean, like, man want things.
Yeah.
Man want some gold, man want to be cool. And like the only way you could get some money for real is to move. And like I went and asked them, man, and he's like, yo, cuz, put me on, man. I smart, I could move, I could be one of your top man selling frig. And the man said, what? The man, you're a smart man, Go read your friggin' book. I got my face, man. And I come back at the man for real, man. He's like, that for your mother to come now and cuss me and try and kill me, man. Dog, you do your thing, I going to do my thing. So just use a bookman, you stay being a bookman. And them simple things, like you said, like, and you and the first man tell me that story, and I sure I ain't the first man tell you that story where like, but this man is our family that like could really easily influence us into the negative. And then man, so that's to show you that ain't really the trap that you want to make. So, but to get back to
yeah, man. And it ain't really glorious at all. You know what I'm saying? It looks glorious, but it ain't nothing glorious about it. And it really just kind of ends a couple ways, honestly. And that ain't no. You know
yes, the man. Some of the man them that I grew up for, I thinking that they would never get catch by the Bible. Anything would happen to them. They in jail now. Man that had things is things, father. And it's unfortunate how that'll go down. And then watch man lock up for the same thing them that they're making documentary and featuring man on CNBC4 now. That's power. Right. That's power, man. Power is being able to do the same thing the next man next to you doing, and he gotta go jail, and you going home and living in luxury after that. That's power.
Right. Crazy. So, man, you leave the Virgin Islands, you go to Georgetown, you graduate from St. Joseph, you go to Georgetown. Talk about that experience. As you already alluded to, the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Go kind of take us down that path.
And then I want to say how I get here was through some Virgin Island stuff where it was so what I'm going to say is that hold on here. Man text me something crazy. But anyway, I get that later.
No, you're good.
So what happened to me that was fortunate is that I'm blessed in that I test well on standardized tests. So I do it's either the first SATs or the PSAT. I test in the top percentiles for the Virgin Islands. So when then I get invited to come to St. Thomas to hear from like these elite universities, and I go to St. Thomas Antilles High School, in that man gymnasium or wherever. The man have the representatives from Harvard, Stanford, Duke, Yale, and Georgetown. And the man will explain that like, yo, we to recruit what we call the outer regions and foreign nations together, because like, for cost purposes, like it's just more effective for us to just like we'd invite the top people from the area for like 100 square miles to come to one place, and we'd tell them about it. And before then, I really wanted to go to Harvard because like in my mind, I was like the baddest school in the world. And I was a smart man to myself, so like smart man to go Harvard. So that's why I'm trying to go. And everybody go through their thing, and that night I realized like, okay, I like Stanford too. That woman pitched on the university, and that man alumni song wicked. But I was like, man, Stanford, that's a far trad from St. Croix, man. And I was like, yo, if things go sideways, I need to be able to make it home in a day. So I can't deal with the Stanford thing, but I like that school a lot. And then I'll never forget that I could still see the picture in my head right now. The still picture from the first slide of the presentation has show it was like a camera shot from the other side of the Potomac. And for those who are familiar with DC or Georgetown, DC is a prestigious university located in Washington, DC. And it sits on top of a hill right across, right next to the Potomac River. So this shot was it was showing someone rowing, because crew and rowing is popular at Georgetown. Someone rowing there, and it was like all in a manner, so it gets some flag, and then you see the most known building in Georgetown is called the Patrick Healy building, and like that shot was just amazing. I was like, that looked hard. And then the man started talking through it, and I'm like, yeah, man, Georgetown had the black head coach basketball wise. That's a school that man read. And back then, my top thing for me was that I wanted to work on Wall Street. And fortunate through some advice from family too, it was like I used to set up, and then one summer, like, I had a family, I'd be like, okay, so like, if you want to work on Wall Street, what's the best school for you to go to do that? And I was like, I don't know, Harvard, one of them bad school. And I was like, no, look into it. And then I look into it, and then I end up finding out. And in the presentation, I say too that Georgetown was the number 3 school at putting students on Wall Street. So I was like, okay, this the up down my list. So I applied to all of them, school them, and true, like this is something most people don't know. At first, I get put on the wait list for Georgetown, and then actually no, hold on, I lied. It wasn't a wait list. So you could apply early action. Because like when you apply to college, you get different decision windows. So I apply for what they call early action, which is you find out if you gain early in December, as opposed to like the like March, April time where they usually send out the decisions. So I applied then, and Emma was like, all right, we're going to defer you to the regular decision window, because they don't really only accept like the best of the best applications early. And then man, I sent me a letter saying, yo, take your SATs again and try and get your math score up. So I was like, all right, bet. Because I was fortunate that like on the critical reading and writing part, I only missed 2 questions. So I tested in 98th percentile. So I was like, once I see that, I was like, are you going to go to a fancy school? Like 98th percentile, one of these bad schools going like, let me come in. And I sent me the math thing. And then so I end up, and this is part of like how like resources and life to change stuff, because like I didn't have a tutor or going to no SAT prep programs or nothing. I just, offer raw ability. And then I was fortunate that I ended up borrowing a SAT prep book from somebody, and that prep book had teach like some tips and tricks with some easy ways to like, figure out what the best answer was. Because it wasn't like, we trying to teach you math. We know how the SAT to test math, and this is how you to isolate what the best answer is. So I studied that book for like a week or 2 weeks, checked the test again, and I increased my math score by like 60, 70 points. So then once that happened, and then grades get back to Georgetown, I get in. And it was funny, my mother worked at the post office. She still work at the post office, I don't know, in Kingston. And for my whole life, my mother always ain't been nobody checking your mail and stuff. But then college applications, them decisions are coming. That woman are opening all my frig before I see anything. So she's the one call and tell me, I don't tell her, mommy, it's a simple system. If the letter 10, that means you gain. If the letter tick, that means you gain. Yeah.
Give you
it's a really simple system. You don't gotta worry about it. And then she called me and she's like, yo, I thought you said if the package slim, you don't gain. I just open this Georgetown and you gain. And that's how I find out. I remember I driving through Strawberry. I was heading to my grandmother's yard actually, and she called and let me know that wicked moment. And end up going to Georgetown, and then my freshman year, so I get into Georgetown, and I'm fortunate once again, because this is where systemic things are helpful, because they identified me as being a first generation college student and coming from where not a feeder school, so like it's not like one of them premier high schools or schools that a man that's like highly touted in the States.
Yeah.
So because of that man invite me to come to a pre-freshman orientation program they have called Community Scholars, which is an intensive reading and writing class. And then one you to get elective in what your subject matter area is. So I got an accounting class and an intensive writing class. And the whole time, I've been wicked at school my whole life. And then so I go to Georgetown, and there's a heap of other black men and three of the men there from our basketball team, including the former #1 high school player in the nation. And we are there and I remember the first day we had to read, like every day in the writing class, you had to write a paper and it get reviewed and marked up. I remember the first day, this one partner, Jeremy Guyton, he write a paper. I can't remember where Jeremy from right now, but he write a paper and I read it out loud. And I was like, wow, these man are write on a different level. I have never written nothing that good. Never in my life. And like that was really impressive. And he just do that. And like the first week, 2 weeks, all of my paper then coming back in, red ink all over every frig. And it's like, wow, okay, I don't write at a proficient enough level. And I was fortunate, and then what helped me too though is that like in the accounting thing, I was killing accounting. I was like, okay, so it ain't like a man ain't smart enough to be I just writing. The thing is, like I tell you, critical reading and writing was my strongest area in the SAT. So I think, man, I go anywhere in the world when it comes to writing. The man, next level, these man writing papers, these man really writing things.
Yeah.
And that intensive writing program gave me right. By the end of the summer, I was writing at a much better level. And it helped me get acclimated to being on campus and all that stuff. So when I actually start freshman year with other man, them they were like, moving week was their first and second day on campus. I had done been on campus for 8 weeks before them, man. So I feel I don't know man in the administration. I don't like, yeah, we go head over there. So I don't comfortable. And that same day I moved into my freshman dorm. Is only, Joshua was a white school, PWI as they call it. And I think maybe 5% of the entire school student body is black people. And then if you take out the football team, I like the number probably less than 3%. So, just being a black dude, seeing an next black dude, I'm not automatically going trying to link or whatever. So on our freshman floor, we actually had quote unquote a lot of black dudes because we had 5 black dudes on our floor, including me. And my future business partner and future roommate Ryan Wilson was one of them dudes, and then he was from Atlanta, and all the black dudes had just connect, and I went to one of the partner them had Madden hook up, and we all routine game and that, and the first conversation I ever had with Ryan was arguing hip hop, and it was I like 50 Cent and he I like I don't know, yeah, like somebody. He was more like a backpack rapper type of dude. I like man talking about selling drugs and killing things, man. That's why as I honestly dancehall is right to listen to, but if I listen to hip hop, I want to hear man talk about man freak. And we just argue about that, and it was just how other college friendships would be. It'd be like, hey man, you trying to get some food? And safe, and that just be a partner. So we just keep linking from there. And then, we're also part of a bit, funny enough, moving to DC and going to Georgetown is how I became closer and grew to love St. Thomas. Because growing up, I probably went to St. Thomas 3-4 times growing up. 2 of them times was a basketball tournament in high school. And then one of the other times was that college recruiting trip I tell you about. Mm-hmm. And then another time was when I was young. My grandmother took me over there. My grandmother, shout out to her. She's the one take me to most places for the first time ever. So that was one of the places she had take me to. And we went over on the hydrofoil to tell you how long I was. Yes, that's how long. I don't even. I feel like that thing I run for maybe 1 year. I don't even have ever been on that to even know what it is I just said. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing that was built for a little while, and I went to St. Thomas and that. But my family is very proud Crucians, and just part of our culture is we don't make fun of St. Thomas, and we don't like St. Thomas. We don't like St. Thomas, and we don't like St. Thomas things and St. Thomas people for real, not like that. But when you're there in the States, man, Virgin Islands is Virgin Islands, mother scunt. So the funny thing is, for most man in the States, them man don't know Virgin Islands people unless you live in Orlando, certain parts of Miami and them things them. People don't know VI people like that. So it had a man from Rock who come in the same, who was a freshman my year too. And the first 2 days, all I hear and come to find I hear and is like, oh, you from the Virgin Islands? Have you met the other guy from the Virgin Islands? Have you met the other guy from the Virgin Islands? And then like, yeah, y'all not from the same island?
Don't y'all know each other?
Like, and then so who I can't remember who messaged who first, but like we messaged on Facebook, and I was like, yo, let me meet up by like this student union part, and we went over there and I connect over there. And then this man he had other friend them. So none of my friend them went to school in DC from St. Croix. But he had other partner them from Rock who went school at other schools in DC. So I went from not knowing nobody from St. Thomas to like the main man that I hanging out with is man from Rock. And he's the only cruise man. And and then how exposure to get you to understand that like, oh man, when am I mean people from St. Thomas can't cook? I go to my partner mother yard when anytime I get some good food for her. And just you to get exposed to the man, and like it'll be hard to be as ignorant anymore because I can't be like I before I'd said some frick like man, as long as a hurricane don't hit me, I don't care if it hits St. Thomas. Who give a frick? But it's like no, them is my people them over there now too, and that's love and like all of that. So come to really appreciate rock and rock culture and rock things, and is because like it went from like I never went rock to anytime I went home, at least 2 or 3 days I go in rock to go check my partner then. And then and that's how I end up going to St. John a bunch and I end up staying in a battery and St. John and thing like, again, it's really, really life experiences being able to be exposed to things because like that's a sick frig. I grew up my whole life in St. Croix and I had never been to St. John. Never been to St. John.
Never really. Right.
Tell him I would like to go to St. John one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
for real. Mm-hmm. For real. And then you meet, so you link up with Ryan at this point now.
Yeah. So we graduate Georgetown in 2012. And then for the last 2 years of school, junior year and senior year, we was roommates along with my same partner from Rock Jamil, who's at that now. And then our next partner that we cool with from New York, and we was like a clique, the 4 of us. And then we even got like a nickname called 1440, which was like the address to the house we are living our senior year. And so like me and Ryan been friends like since freshman year, and then lived together the last 2 years. And then Ryan to go to law school, and then I end up I don't get a job on Wall Street, but I end up getting a job in finance still in at a place called Fannie Mae. So not the student loan place, but Fannie Mae is the creator of the mortgage-backed securities. So that's what allows the American dream to exist. Without Fannie Mae, which is a quasi-governmental agency, the 30-year mortgage wouldn't exist. So like 30-year mortgages is what allows the average American to have a home. So I worked there and I learned a lot about real estate and real estate finance, and most importantly, I was the youngest person by like 12 years on my team, and everybody else I worked with was a PhD economist. So they was really smart, and the way they understood data and how to analyze things, I just learned a lot. Those like 2.5, almost 3 years working there, and that was another like mindset shifting thing, because like the way I approach things and analyze things is always like as if I'm still a portfolio manager, still a data analyst from back in the day. And
wow.
Yeah, man. I literally to that talking to my team, I was like, yo, this is how I like spreadsheets to be sent to me. This is how I like stuff to be laid out, because this is the way like my old manager teach me, and now like that's the way like my mind works. So like, that's how. And then because that's the way my manager teach me, that's the way I had to teach my who work at my business. So like, it's just a continuation of that culture of analysis actually. And so I work at Fannie Mae, like learning all that's like learning more data work and how to work in a big company and different things. And then Ryan went to law school. He went to Georgetown Law. And after his freshman year, we didn't not freshman year, but in law school, the 1L year, we didn't talk a bunch, because he under the gun in law school. And then year 2, like he linked me about meeting up with some of his friends from law school, because they have business ideas, but like none of them had no finance or numbers like that. So I started meeting with a man about some different things. And it's like a little entrepreneurial crew just thinking out different ideas. And then what ends up happening is after the Trayvon Martin Judge Zimmerman case comes up and Zimmerman is acquitted, Ryan like has this idea of like, yo, what if we create like talking clubs for people to just come together? Be like, that could be a solution for some of like the issues we face as a society. Just having a place for people to come together, and then it could. And then that spark led to the ultimate creation of the gathering spot from there. And so we raise money. Wow. We work. So let's see, Ryan. So like we really came up with the idea, like the precursor to the idea in like 2013, and then in 2014 is when it's like, okay, this is a real idea, the Trayvon Martin case, to settle on all that, and it's like, okay, we push and go. So we legally formed the company June 19, 2014 in Georgia, and to show the level of commitment, Ryan doesn't take an internship that year. And as an intern, as a lawyer that's in a prestigious law school like that, he could have made, between $30,000 and $50,000 a summer. Yeah. But instead of doing that, he was like, yo, I believe in this idea. Like, I just go and work on this business idea. And so he do that, and I working on it too. And then that file is like when we put the first money into the business. It's like, yo, you put X, I go and put X. And that's just how we are moving. We are just, funding it out of our pocket. Just make like whatever amount of money one man point, the next man point, so it's equal. And we end up getting our first investor to commit in 2015, early 2015. And that was the first investor, and then from there was able to get some others. And then we moved to Atlanta in 2015 to build up the first gathering spot Atlanta location, and just keep pushing from there and just meet people and all that stuff. And we initially, I'm sure you probably can't see anything on the internet no more about it, but first we was expecting to open in fall 2015. So our first stuff was like fall 15, blah blah blah. And then it's our job timing though, so we end up opening in March of 2016. Yeah, man. We almost this March is 5 years. That's crazy. Yeah, man.
It's crazy. And with multiple
I'm in our DC building right now.
You are now in DC.
20,000 over 20,000 square feet of Class A prime real estate in Washington DC. No,
which is not easy.
And then
no, not at all. For two black,
yep.
not only just two black men, but two young.
Yeah, and not just that. For people, our business is blackness. Beautiful thing, and like that's like you can. There's people who could get around. Like, okay, two exceptional Negroes. I don't. You have a law firm, and like most of your people, you have a consulting firm or whatever. But like your business is to bring a lot of black people into my building. I don't know.
Right. And so for those who are listening right now, break it down to the listening public about what the gathering spot, and this is what we are talking about currently, that he is a co-owner of with Ryan Wilson, who was
my college roommate, my former.
He was your roommate, right? Your college roommate. So this is the business we're talking about. Just if you somehow got lost, this is the business that we're talking about. That they have multiple locations now. Now break that down. What is the gathering spot, and what is it that you all wanted to make sure that?
That's a good question. So the gathering spot is a private membership club that is rooted in community and culture. That's how we would describe it. Physically speaking, the gathering spot is a private city club or membership club, and we have event space, a private restaurant and bar, and a private workspace. So conference rooms, private offices, and open work area for you to do work. You can bring a laptop and get to it. So like right now, I sit in one of our conference rooms. But what we've always told people, and what last year proved more than ever, was that our business was not about space. It's not about selling space or telling people pay your membership so you could come into this pretty building, even though the building is very nice. It's well designed, multi-million-dollar facility, every location. But our business is community. Our business is people. And what we believe is important is we've found and tapped into people who believe in the value of being in connection with others, who see that their own advancement is tied into the advancement of their peers, and that you are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with. And how do you keep meeting new interesting people? How do you keep elevating and improving your network? How do you keep coming in and interacting with new and interesting things? For a lot of people, once they leave the college or education environment, they're not interacting with too many new people and new things that often. You end up getting your job and you do what your job is, and you may go to industry conferences and stuff. But like, if you're an engineer, you know engineering and you know engineer people, but you don't know art people, you don't know music producers, you don't know, like, you may know some construction people. Do you know doctors like that? Like, a lot of times you end up being siloed in your individual industry or network, and then all you can rely on is the friends that you made in college, whatever amount of years ago that was, and people that you meet through work. And oftentimes they're going to be not that dissimilar from you, because, like, you're going to meet people in a work context who work on similar things or adjacent things to you. So your community of people and ideas kind of gets stilted and siloed. So, how do you break that down? And how do you keep meeting new people and interacting with new and interesting ideas and programming, and creating the gathering spot community was our solution to that problem for ourselves. And we were fortunate that we believed that there was a market for that. And, 5 years later, like, America is showing that there is.
Yeah, it's absolutely, absolutely, and to the level of where, obviously y'all do amazing things on a day-to-day basis by bringing community together. I guess we could say even most recently, congratulations to the new president-elect, President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Y'all have, directly had influence in that as it
Yep.
applies
Yeah.
to
No,
them
we're
when
deeply
they came
connected
to
with the
Atlanta,
Democratic
correct?
Party, and we've never hid that association, or that we believe that this business had to have a political stance and had to have a voice in that, because
Wow.
the policies and the regulatory framework impacts us as a community more than any other. So we have to get involved. We have to be the voice,
Absolutely.
and part of our work is to help shift people's mindsets even inside of our community, because uh, the mindset thing in it isn't only about success. There are a lot of successful people of all races, especially, but yeah, but black people with terrible mindset. I've talked
Terrible
to people
mindset.
who are millionaires who say stuff like black people don't know how to work together. And it's like, when's the last time you hired a black person to do any work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's just
and
from the
we
outside
we are so easy
sponsorship
to believe the
looking
worst of ourselves. Um, that's something that we have to fight
in.
against, no matter what level of success, because that is something that's internalized. Like we'd have to switch real quick, but like we'd have these
Yeah.
conversations about what home need, and someone will come in and be like, "We need customer service training because nobody down here know how to treat people right." And it's like, bro, like you've never had good
That's an
customer
internal
service in your
thing.
whole life. Not one time in the virtual. No one has ever done a polite thing for you. There's some people who
Right.
to talk about how we
Right.
say good morning, good night, and good afternoon, and
Right.
an open door, a whole door, and how you can, like, we'll always I'll say how we can't starve on this island from here, because you could go to your mother, your aunt, or your cousin, your partner, yeah, and get a plate of food. But we is the most rude people in the
And we
world.
get a plate of food.
Yeah, man, they can't. All the things can't be the true at the
Make
same
it make
time.
sense.
And that's something that I always fight against, man. Where, because I'd be like,
Yeah.
man, you really believe, because you saying, and then when you challenge them, it'll really be like, well, I saying more signs or a couple of times, and it's like, but your initial statement wasn't more signs. Your initial statement was absolute. It was that, like, nobody in Virgin know how to do customer service, and it's like what you're internalizing is a racist and disrespectful narrative. Um, but yeah, but to
Wow.
get back to the gathering spot, we that building community and being interactive, and it's a blessing to be able to do this work. And while it's said to people is that I hope that the takeaway people get from it is not that it's all about starting your own business or XYZ, because honestly, the first year and a half that I had my first job in DC, I was learning so much and I loved working there so much that I could have been there for a while longer. I was really enjoying it there. But then things have changed, and like my work environment and the team I was working with had changed. Around people that get promoted, and the work had changed. And the bigger thing for me is that I didn't feel like I was growing as much at my job, and I didn't feel like the work I was doing had purpose. And I've always been someone who is really goal oriented. So, I just spend a lot of time at work. And I'm also very like data and visual driven, especially because of the work I did. And I remember one time I was going through a training of how to visualize data. And they talked about, and the example they give us was like, the typical person's life. And it was like, the average person spends like 25% of their life asleep because, we're asleep, 6 to 8 hours a day, at least it's supposed to. And then like the average person to spend, 15% of their life stuck in traffic. And it's like, it went through all the little stuff. And the biggest part of the chat was the average person's like work, like the time they spend at work. And I was like, yo, the average person is spend 40% of their life at work. And then I just spend at least 55% of my life at work when it's all said and done. So I need my work to be something that I happy to do, that I love doing. So not feeling that purpose was the whole thing. And then because I was always someone who's willing to do things, just like I try a thing. My partner said, "You have an idea." I go in, like I ain't just going to do not like if think it dumb and do it, but I thought it was a good idea, and I thought I could add value. Like, let me work on this, and just trying things until I find something that I really was my purpose. And I'm blessed to say that working at the gathering spot is it feels purposeful, and I'm happy and grateful to do this work every day. And is a difference in once again to go to mindset from waking up and being excited to grab your computer to work on something and being like, fuck, I gotta do this thing again. And that's the biggest thing, because like I said earlier, like it's always going to be a struggle in life. And in my mindset, the way I translate that too is like you got a meme that I say too, like it choose your hard, like you're going to be working hard on something. At least make it something that you like doing. And I remember growing up, I was a real big Yankees fan, New York Yankees fan for baseball. And I first gained it because I was trying to impress this girl who was a baseball fan too. And then I ended up just being a fan of the team. Yeah.
So crazy the things we do to impress women. Go ahead, yeah.
I remember a time like I get crossed, we got losing the playoffs or some freaking I cross bad. Like I ain't want nobody talk to me or nothing. And I remember I was like, man, and she said not just that one time, but a heap of times. But this night I was sticking, and she was like, man, I hope getting vexed about the Yankees and knowing everything about the Yankees, the way you do something for your life, the way that school work could do something for you. And I was, and that didn't make me stop being a Yankees fan or nothing, but I stick with me that like the thing that you point energy into should have some impact into where your life is. Cause like I think about it, I used to spend like 2-3 hours a day just reading up on the Yankees, like who we drafting, like who we looking at and all that type of thing. And what I come to realize is that part of the reason people again, at least I actually just speak for myself, part of the reason that I was so into that and into different TV shows and stuff, I'm naturally curious about things and I like to understand it. But then two is because like I didn't have something that I felt was like a better use of my time. So like I used to watch a heap of hours of TV a week, a day and stuff. And now, like, I don't even feel like I'm missing out on it because it's like I could watch on TV or I could, like, work on this spreadsheet or different thing. And me saying that, they said, I don't never have no relaxed time or free time. It's just about saying, like, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy to do the work. And when you're happy to do the work, when people ask about work-life balance, is a difference because I don't think of it the same way. I don't think about when I was reading about the Yankees or like I was a big LeBron fan, I'd watch everything LeBron doing. Or like I was really into Madden, and right now like my favorite video game is FIFA. And like the time I get to play FIFA, I look at it like a blessing. Like, okay, now I get to play some FIFA for a little. Yeah, and like why I shouldn't look at my work the same way? I look and I look at my work like that. Where it's like, okay, now I get to problem solve for my job a couple more hours today. And I think that's an important thing because even something I said when I graduated from high school, when I get to give the speech, was that I think I think our ultimate goal in life is or purpose in life is to be happy first and foremost for yourself. Because if you aren't happy of in the like individually,
Absolutely.
you can't bring joy to other people. It's impossible. So I believe like our goal is to be happy,
Absolutely.
and I feel like most people are happy when they're working on something they're passionate about. So I that's why I pray for everyone that they get
Absolutely.
opportunity to work on something that they're passionate about, because it'll make it'll make everything else lighter. It'll, like, when you're thankful for the opportunity to do this, like, it'll make it different. The same energy you had to go and play pickup bar with your partner them for 4 hours a day is the same. I think you should have that same joy to do your work, because that's where you're going to spend most of your life. And if you can't say that you happy doing that, then I hope you're in a situation or working to be in a situation to change that. And I had to tell people that with a gathering spot. I was like, whenever I stop being happy to do this, I go and stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. And 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 I believe you. That's the crazy part. Because somebody will look at you and be like, oh, come on, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna walk away from all this money or all this purpose or whatever. But nah, you mean what you said. Like, literally, the gathering spot is more than just money and the celebrities you get to meet and work with and all this kind of stuff. It's about the purpose, and it's about the community building, the troubleshooting that you get to do. And I really do believe, honestly, if tomorrow, if you felt like, hey man, this is not what it was cut out to be, or this is not what it used
Yeah,
to be, and you will find something else to make you happy, and to fill that void, and to continue building your legacy of purpose, because that's and very, very important stuff, man, because our life has to be, we have to predicate our life on purpose. I think purpose and following um a dream, and finding purpose within what you're doing, it helps, as you said, make things easier. I think it alleviates anxiety. A lot of the anxiety I think people experience in life is
hmm,
just because they haven't found what it is in life that they are truly, truly meant to do. And
oh yeah,
you go and you do what, I get it. We all have to do things that maybe we weren't happy to do. We just had to make ends meet or whatnot. But I do believe, honestly and truly, I can honestly say, for me personally, once I started finding my purpose, even started with music. You know what I'm saying? Growing up classically trained as a pianist, I didn't want to be a professional musician. Um, then when I moved to the States,
hmm,
ironically, I moved to Maryland. That was like the first real state that I moved to, from St. Croix. And you know, God put me in a lot of different um, rooms with a lot of professional musicians who did this full time, for a living, and it showed me like, yo, that music that you enjoyed as a kid, you could actually do that and make a living off of it and enjoy that. And that was like the first step for me into finding my purpose. And then, of course, now the work that I'm doing now, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting myself in a box. And the music at one point, it became a box. Even now I make a joke. I'll make jokes because I'll post a video, of me playing something. I don't post me playing no more, and I still play and gig, and if the gig makes sense, and people know me from like when I had really start, touring and doing all this kind of stuff, and touring Europe and all this stuff, and they love Kem the musician and the pianist so much that they kind of like wanted to keep me in this box. And now that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, I laugh because I might post something
the
today
engagement.
for
Yeah,
Flying
we talk.
Intellectual, and I might get, and it ain't about the like, but we're just talking for talking sake. I might get 10, 11 likes. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If I posted something right now, me playing, I might get 100 likes, and I've seen it already. You know what I'm saying? And in my head, I was joking. I would say I wanted to go under the piano video and just be like, hey man, I appreciate the love, but I want y'all to put that same love behind the new stuff I'm doing, because I'm putting
Hmm.
the same 10,000 hours of proficiency that I put into being a musician. I'm putting that into this work that I'm doing now. And it would really, make me feel good that y'all see that kind of effort that I'm putting into that as well, and support me on that side. But it's just because I found purpose and I found that joy of what it is that I'm doing. And I admonish everybody who's listening, if you don't
Yeah.
get anything else from what we've said tonight, find your purpose. Honestly, it does. It does make life a whole lot easier. It lightens the load, and it really alleviates a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, because at that point it doesn't become just work. It becomes life work. It becomes a purpose, and you can't replace that. And that is so true, bro. You have a new initiative, a very very new initiative. You kind of just announced it officially about it this week. I want you to really get into it. It's called Cane Cutters. I want you to first talk about why you picked that name. Before you talk about what it is, talk about the significance of cane. From where we're
I
from
appreciate
and
that
why
question.
you chose that name.
Before I jump into that, I'll talk back real quick on to talk about the purpose thing one last time. And it's just what part of why I'm so confident in your right to say that I would leave it for is because, Father, it took me 3 years before of operating this business before I start making more money being the co-founder of the gathering spot than I made at my first job out of school. That's how long it took, Father. The first year and a half, the first 18 months of the business operating, like me and my business partner made $0. And when we finally first got on salary, we was the lowest paid people in the business. So it's like it definitely ain't the bread. I'm telling you that is because like the mission, believing in the mission, keeping man going. But yeah, to talk about Cane Cutters, that all ties back once again to purpose and mindset, which is something that I identified at work at my first job once again, which was things was going good at work. I was a top performer at work, getting recognized, doing my thing, making more money than I'd ever met before at that job. And I distinctly remember when Ubers are first starting to come into DC, and having a conversation with some of my partners from work, and I was the only black man and in the conversation, like normal. And some of my white partner, them, and they're from California too. So that man is liberal and progressive and all that good stuff. And we talking about Ubers, and I'm like, man, I feel man saying he kind of feel bad for the Ubers. I mean, not for the Ubers, for the DC taxi man them. I'm like, man, fire ban these taxi man, them are racist. Them racist rascal. I was like, dog, you much time I don't have to walk home or spend more than an hour trying to hail a cab from the years I live in this city. And my boy said, come on, TK, I wouldn't think you would play the race card like that. And I'm like, what? I like, dog, this is our partner I consider to be a work homie. And I know progressive and all this. And even this man don't get. And it's like, and then you could tell, like, once somebody realized that, you and one of them black people who is like you saying he's retarded, fuck. Yeah, it'll change. And I was like, this why I can't go with, because you can't never be your real self. You always got a pappy show with these man. And I as a man, I don't like the pappy show. I've never liked that. And that was when I was starting to realize I'm like, and then there's like all day at work is one TK, and then after work when I cool with my partner them and my frat brother them and stuff, I going to be regular me, black TK. And I like this a jokey way to live life to me. And if it'll work for you, it'll work for you. And I didn't like that. And to me, what I realized is that if I stay working there and I get promoted to being the CEO, I would have been the one black dude. And then even as a top black dude, is about the culture of the space around you. So if everybody else is a white dude from the South, is the culture going to be more white dude from the South than a black person from the Virgin Islands? And I want to be in an environment where I could be my full self. And the way I can be my full self is in the Virgin Islands, where I could go from listening to a rap song to listening to a calypso song to listening to a reggae song to listening to a bachata song. Because that's how we all grew up. And then even my partner from the States is only so much calypso these man trying here because they're in the man culture. So what's important to me is culture and preserving the things that I love a lot, which is VI culture. And I'm like, you can't preserve the culture if the island's getting buy up from people. You can't preserve the culture if man can't afford to live there no more. You can't preserve the culture if our elders them ain't getting no money from GRS. And So it was one of the things where, like, growing up from time we smile, we to talk about the things we don't like home and what wrong with home. And I one day I just was like, man, I feel like I'm mumu. I tired of just being a next man just saying like, this wrong home, I'm home backwards and things need to be better. And it's like, if things need to be better, as a human, why are you doing to make it better? And so that's what, so in conversation with one of my good friends from back home, that's a lawyer, she was like, yo, I got an idea to start an organization. And I was like, yo, I would be down to help and start the organization too. Like I'll put whatever money we need to like legally farm it and stuff. And like she would she would donate the legal time, and then we add in two other people from home too. And we legally farm this nonprofit that's a 501c4, so a little different than C2. Like we can make political donations as well, because and that's important because from my vantage point, my perspective, a lot of the issues home is about resource allocation. Um, it's not that the Virginians don't have resources. We have a ton of resources,
Right.
honestly. And for the amount of people and the amount of square footage that constitute the Virginians, we have, billions and billions of dollars. It's all about how we allocate it. And, we talk about corruption and mismanagement and this and that. And it's like, how can we have a bigger say than just, posting online and in comments like, it's a jokey fuck. And so it's like, okay, you have to get involved politically. And,
Right.
part of that
Right.
understanding is from me living in the States and talking to a man who's more political man than me. And my business partner, Ryan, was always someone who was more politically inclined than I was. And open my eyes and perspective to, like, you can really effect change through politics. But, you can't look at it like a one-off thing. It's like a constant battle. It's a constant engagement. Like, when Coca-Cola lobbyists come and they want a lot to pass, they don't call one time. They ain't only around election time. The man did it 365 days a year. So why we think as rank and file individuals that just because we say on election day we want you to make the VI a better place, or wherever we live a better place, and then we don't show back up again for the next 2 years or 4 years, that they're going to be doing their job right. Like, part of the mindset is understanding, and I have to do this too, is that elected officials work for us. And I have living in the States.
Facts.
I've been living in the States for a while, and I be honest, for a lot of them years after school and stuff, I just a resident and a taxpayer. I wasn't voting in nothing, father. That was not a priority for me. The most I was voting for was in the presidential elections, and I was feel like I was doing my part.
Likewise.
The first time I voted in Atlanta, 2016, for Clinton for the president when she had gone up against Trump. I know the president and the whole rest of the thing we are voting for. I was picking. I didn't know none of them names. I was like Democrat. As long as okay, it's not like a black person name. And to me, I was like, I somebody who to read more news and more inclined to stuff than most of my partner them. So I don't know what's going on. I know them man ain't know what's going on neither.
Right.
And then to understand how the local elections get power and stuff. When the Babylon figuring you or you get in charge, what I think is the DA who you could elect, who to decide whether or not you get in charge. Yeah. And you don't need, and I didn't even know that till literally like 2 years ago. I didn't even know the DA races was elected and that type of thing. I didn't like government is government. The thing to go on, and is Babylon trying to figure you up. You just trying.
You ain't the only one.
Yeah, and I saying all this so man, because I know man, I got a lot of man that think he's a man that know everything, and I tell you, father, like you don't know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know till you get exposed to it. You ain't get no shame in just now getting into politics, and ain't get no shame if tomorrow is your first day that you start paying attention. I only start paying attention because Obama was running, because a black man running for president. And so I pay attention to presidential politics, and reading the big national stories. But then to understand how it's all really about local government and local zoning to really control the quality of your life, that's a different thing.
Absolutely. So y'all started Cane Cutter, which is, as you said, a 501c4 So I believe.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So, but one of our main things is just to get
Okay.
is just get real good information out to people and explain them type of thing to people. Not that everyone don't know, but like if you read the Virgin Islands, the governor's budget that he like present to the legislature, like they'll break down everything about our place, because that's how we have to do it in a presentation. It'll tell you how much people enrolled in schools in the Virgin Islands. It'll tell you that the Virgin Islands is a unicameral legislative system, and like all of those things and what those things mean. And even me, someone who didn't know all that stuff and learn that in high school, it was good to read it again. And then understanding. And then to me, the biggest thing that I really learned from business and being up here and interacting with successful and powerful people is that like everything is negotiable. Everything could be changed. And King Cutters was the response to figuring out like, yo, the only way we can have a say is to be organized. And so we need a collective of us, whether we live home or abroad, people who interested in seeing better. I personally believe it get at least 5,000 Virgin Islanders our age alone who would join this organization and be interested in being part of the change. And I'm fortunate that in my position I meet a lot of Virgin Islanders who ain't even been home in a heap of years, but they would donate and they want to get involved, and who they move when they were small and their grandmother is their only connection to the island and them type of thing. And we powerful if we bring all these people back and realizing that, like, you know, I see, man, and then just stuff that I know people care about. That like I from a family of people who love hash race, Hashman family. And you know, it's forgot what's going on with a hash track back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, absolutely. How do I make things different? Because you got a man in my family, I'd be like, man, everything for St. Thomas ain't got nothing we could do. St. Thomas, I was going to be St. Thomas first. And it's like, I don't believe that. I believe we can make a better version that'll work for everybody. And the difference between me and other man is that I believe it's possible, and I believe once I start showing, man, that there's impact that could be had, that they'll jump into it. And then to your other question as to why the name was King Cutters, is that for me everything has to be cultural. It has to be cultural in base. And what are we trying to do is we're trying to get people the real information they need to know, and to cut through all the foolishness and the retarded simple conversations. Like we having hearings about stopping gas stations from being built, and we pass a new legislation and even get talk about like a success on the news, and if I remember right, maybe even in the state or the territory, but it's for future gas stations, not including any that already get submitted for planning, and there was already mechanisms to address that. I'd rather much more conversation be had about how we're going to build back all these low income and subsidized housing on our islands to make sure that people have to move into. Growing up, I used to spend a lot of time in Shabbat. Shabbat don't even fucking exist no more. I remember when we had to move my aunt out of Shabbat to Red Brick, and she didn't want to move from Shabbat because Shabbat was her home where she raised her family. And she get moved and I get knocked down. And my God rest or so, my aunt been gone for more than 3 years now. And I still ain't seen nothing start build up for Shabbat. And it's like, what's going on? And then for me, part of it too is just like, I've been fortunate now that my job is I'm the CFO. I don't determine how the gathering spot to allocate its resources. And for me, a lot of things is a resource allocation exercise. If we as a government going to spend $1 billion this year, that means our customers is going to get, as a government, our customers are going to receive $1 billion in funds. So how is it that we making a new batch of Virgin Islands millionaires every year just off of VI contracts? I ain't talking about the federal contracts, because that'd be everyone top excuse. You know, the federal rules and they ain't get no black man that have the man. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I know man who getting these. I know black man getting these contracts. I went to school with a man who to get government contracts in Florida, and he can't get a government contract in the VA yet. The man said, my boy said, how I could get contracts from Florida and all this thing, and I only went school up here, but the place I born and raised, I can't get a contract yet. And then usually this would man be like, the man, that's because we backwards and ain't nothing could happen and black man don't look out for black man in the VI and everything just stay in the States. And I don't believe that. Because if we just stay in the States and give up, our land going to turn into other man land. Yeah, and I always believe, and I tell man now part of why I believe I've become successful is because or I should not become, but I've achieved some success because we are renting success. Is that I've always believed and in the back of my mind knew that I would be safe at the end of the day. Because like when we started the gathering spot, I literally put all of my money, every single red cent that I ever make in my life went into the business. And like I tell you, wasn't making no money. So I had a point where it's like, if the business are closed, I just been a man with nothing. And I was like, well, I just turn in my car and break my list. And I go back to St. Croix and I can at least stay in my mother yard or my grandmother yard or my auntie yard or my cousin yard. And I'd be able to bounce back.
Figure it out.
I don't know how I'd be able to move if I didn't think I had a rest in place. That worst case scenario, I got safety net. I always get St. Croix. That's what I always think about. Like I could lose everything in this life as long as I could make a call to the Virginians. I could figure out to patch up a one-way flight ticket, and I could make it back home and bounce back.
Yep. Wow. And that it's so crazy how powerful that is, bro. Because at the end of the day, it allows you that opportunity and it allows you that mindset to be able to swing for the fences and go big, or literally, pun intended, go home. And that I never even really thought about it that way. I mean, we always say it, you know what I'm saying? Well, if this don't work out, you know what I'm saying? At least I know. But I never even thought of it as such a motivating
everything.
Factor
I max out. I open a heap of credit card. I take out personal loans. I was in debt crazy. All of that just to help fund the gathering spot. Literally, if the gathering spot are closed in 15, 16, 17, or 18, I would have been a man who went from having a decent little savings to being a man that owe hundreds of thousands of dollars to places. And all I was thinking was that that man could figure out my credit all they want. I know I could live someplace. And I don't ever want somebody from home to not be able to have that, because then my whole family had to move away and give up what they had. And a lot of us are already feeling like that, because the thing is, you could go home to like stay in the yard and try and figure out something, but a lot of men know they can't go home and get a good job and then make a savings and then bounce back. But it's like how I believe we could change that just after changing the government pays and different things, because we could decide what to prioritize. And then part of it too is just believing, like I tell people, I have a irrational self-belief because I just believe my mom when she tells me I can do anything one too many times. I sorry, but I really believe it. So like one of the said things, like I believe if you graduate from a high school from the Virginia, you should be able to come home 2 times a year at no cost. I believe that. So like I believe we could make a government program for that. And there's a million ways why it can't work and hurdles and stuff. But me ain't worried about that. I just worry about the one way to make it work. Like it don't make no sense. Like I've seen it happen. I don't know ways. Like I've been friends with man who like the man barely affording to go school in wherever state they're in, and they want to come home. But who could come home when it's $700 and $800 economy flight when it's Christmas time? And then what happened? Multiple years gone by, more than a decade gone by, you don't touch your home soil. How you going to not get disconnected? And this ain't an accident. This part of the plan. You to get a man disconnected from your land and he to make a new home. And when you make a new home,
wherever
and that wouldn't be the case. The man, I love Atlanta to the ground. Atlanta is I feel like the city that make me who I is in a lot of places, but the foundation of me is St. Croix. And there will be a level of comfort and homeness to St. Croix that I will never be able to replicate in Atlanta because I wasn't raised there. I'm not of the culture purely. And that's not a disrespect. Right. I would love to be able to rep Atlanta even deeper, but like if a man tell me like, Father, you from here, like he'd be right. So I want to make sure we could preserve that and make it a proud place for all our for generations to come, and shaping the future in a different way. Like I feel like we'd spend too much time trying begging for rich white people to save when we don't need to be saved. We need partners, and I don't believe our partners need to be rich white people alone. They ain't got a ton, but they get more than enough rich black people just in Atlanta alone that we could be doing business with. And I have a irrational belief in being able to impact the future because I've been blessed that a lot of the dreams and manifestations I've had for myself have come true. So like I carry on that same irrational belief in being able to manifest the life that you want and the vision that you want, even outside of my own personal life. I believe if me and you and 1,000 other man from home decide like, yo, we want home to look like XYZ, that we could do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I 100% agree,
yeah.
my boy.
We have to. I feel like it's done. Like the way I always feel about things is that if it's my duty to do it, if it's my job to do it, it's going to get done. It's like if I had a time I was giving an update to our board of directors about something, and it was like, yo, if it's a TK deliverable, you can count it done. Like I'm not gonna miss it. I'm not gonna forget it. I'm not gonna miss the date. If it's due on Friday, it's gonna be there on Friday. Like like if it's on me, it's over. Like if I need to rely on someone else for something, then maybe. But like if it's 100% in my control, and it's like I believe shaping the Virgin Islands is in our control because to me it's a mindset and it's an ideology battle. It's about being able to have enough conversations with man that they'd be willing to be able to see things a different way. Like I had to explain to man, the math is very simple. The Virgin Islands government this year alone will spend over $2 billion. They said, and the billions of dollars is directed and backed and controlled by 16 people, our 15 senators and our one governor. To become a senator in the Virgin Islands, you need a minimum of about 2,500 votes. To be the top vote getting senator on an island, typically you will have around 6,000 votes or 5,000 votes. There's 100,000 people who live in the Virgin Islands. There is over 50,000 registered voters in the Virgin Islands. The governor of the Virgin Islands gets Governor Bryan won his runoff election with about a little over 9,000 votes, not even 10,000 people. And those people, by less than 10% of our population, dictate how that money is being spent over for the length of their term, for the governor's 4 years. The governor going to spend over $4 billion in his 4 years.
Right.
And you know who he's going to listen to? He'll listen to the people who had the most influence out of those 9,000 people, because you know what he wants? He wants to get reelected. Like I gotta tell man, a lot of times we chalk stuff up to some like nefarious thing or like some big master plan. A thing that one of my old co-workers that stuck with me, and it was advice he was giving me right before I left to start the gathering spot. He was like, TK, don't never forget, humans do what they're incentivized to do. That is it. That boils down 99% of all human behavior. It's all about what they're incentivized for. So as long as you make sure that your team and your coworkers and your business partners are incentivized for the same benefit that you have, your business will be successful. So, yeah. So if you look at that and from the lens of politicians or elected officials, what they're incentivized to do, being a politician is one of the best jobs in the Virgin Islands. $85,000 for a senator. I think it's like $150 to be the governor or something. So. Those are really high-paying jobs in our society. So when you get it, you don't want to lose it, obviously, and you have a lot more power. And there's benefits and all types of stuff. So all you want to do is you want to stay in that role. So if you was the senator and I is TK, your constituent, and they get a next constituent named Jay, and either donate to you, either call, and you know that I get 5 of my friends to vote for you too. And then Jay also is your constituent, and Jay call you about something, but then I call you about something. Who you going to respond to first? Of course, because I'm doing something for you. We working together.
TK.
But but I would be someone who ain't never vote, who ain't never campaign, who ain't never do nothing for the senator. And I go and call and be like, the man, what you do for my child's school? And then I go and say some fuckery. And then you go and be like, the man, this is why I don't vote. And then I go and be, this is why I don't care about your opinion. Because it don't matter. Because all I worried about is I gain off of 2,500 votes, and I try and make sure them 2,500 man like me again. And that's all. But if we change that to make it so that we get 5,000 man, or whatever amount of man in a group, and we constantly talking and tracking things, the way I look at it is our elected officials, is our employees as rank and file people. There is a representative. The market is supposed to be representing our will. The thing is, if you hire a man and don't tell you what to do, he ain't going to just do what you want. And then even if you hire a man and tell you what to do, if he realize that you don't ever check up on it, you won't ever follow him behind it. The man, when the cats are with the man, yeah, we do, like this stuff ain't rocket science. The reason local elected officials only listen to rich people is because rich people are they're beyond these, man. They'll be calling them, they'll be texting them, and it's a structural thing. Don't get me wrong, it's not an accident. I am a business owner now. I get to set my own schedule throughout the day. My interests are different. If I need to go spend 2 hours down to talk to my representative, I could do that. When I had my job, I couldn't do that before. It's a difference in structure. So I get that. That's part of the reason I started the org. Because even rich people, they're busy, and successful people, they're busy doing the thing that'll make them money. You know what they do? They invest in lobbyists. They invest in PACs and stuff. Yep. The people that protect their interests. So as regular citizens, we have to do the same. We have to essentially create an org that is going to defend our interests. And then have people who are there. That's what they're doing. This really stuck with me because as a business owner right now, I don't pay to be a part of the restaurant association. And you know what the Restaurants Association they do? Part of what they do, and part of the reason we all pay our fees once a year or whatever to give them money is because they don't make sure that they track every piece of legislation in the state of Georgia and in your local city and municipality that will impact any restaurant. And they'll let you know, like, hey, they know you busy selling wherever you to sell, wherever plates of food or whatever, you ain't watching the local news or understand what bills getting dropped. But it'll send you an email every once in a while to be like, oh, this is the things to look out for, what to watch for. And then it'll be like, hey, a couple of years ago, you had a local city councilman in Atlanta that was trying to change how the liquor license renewal would work. And it would have tripled the cost of renewing your liquor license. And the thing is, for most rank and file people, they don't have to renew a liquor license. They don't actually give a shit how much it costs to renew a liquor license. And they thinking most businesses is owned by big companies, so who care? If that man got paid triple the money, they're going to make it back anyway. They're making money selling drinks. But because all the restaurant people are part of the restaurant association, we pay our money to it. They have a full-time staff that pay attention to everything. So they send us all a note being like, hey, alert, you need to make sure that you and everyone in your network knows that you hate this upcoming bill. And when they have the official hearing, send as many people down there that you can to let them know that you hate this bill and you will be against them if they go forward with this bill. That they sent out that a lot. The next week, we all of us flooded with our people and Carl and Paul saying how we was against it. And after that, you know what they do? They remove the bill. They say we ain't even studying that no more. And that's all it is. It's not like ain't no secret sauce or nothing. Is about what makes sense. I could triple these man bill, and then every restaurant owner in the city, plus all the people who work for them, going to think that I freak them man, and they're going to be less likely to vote for me. And it gotta be the same thing because right now the people that they care about is the senior citizens who don't vote. So that's why they talk about GRS. And then they care about the wealthy people who do open businesses and do stuff. And for the most part, those are white people and their interests. And they care about what they're making money. They make money when houses get sold and different things. And the people buying most of the houses is not we. We don't have no money. So you go and listen to the people who, like you just said, vested interests. And most of the vested interest is not with your rank and file everyday Virgin Islander. because we're not actively a part of the process because of the structural issues we talked about and because of our colonialized mind. But I'm working now along with other people so that we can shift that, because like with the vaginas should be like Dubai. It should be sick in the vaginas. We should all be proud of it. We shouldn't be driving around places that we don't see as ruins from time we was born. We shouldn't be seeing. I just sometimes I see things that I be like, dog, why the government doing this hire man? I pay them man $25 an hour to paint buildings. Like this thing.
I mean, at the very least, dog.
Yeah, the man would be like, the man, they just said things like, the man, the youth man, then wouldn't come out and do the work. I telling you, they wouldn't want to do the work. I promise, if you advertise $25 hour job, it's a lying a man coming. The man lying. The man, because man want money. Man want money. That's what man want. It's simple. And if you know, man, just like we know, man, we know most man that hanging on the top all day ain't making more than $25 an hour, no matter how much can they claim in the cell. They get 15 man on the top, and there's only a handful of sale game back. Come on, man. Exactly. Yes. So you cooling for 10 hours a day.
Just on the block.
And probably spending money buying can and drink. Yeah, man. So like the man, exactly. I don't go for things that I know ain't true. I don't go for it because they could tell you could tell a lot of man a lot of things, but you can't tell a man that I hire people and employ people for a living that people wouldn't jump for $25 an hour. Because I know man that work for 10. Come on.
Wow. Brother TK, man. I know you definitely brought value to the Flying Intellectual podcast, bro. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time out. This was a treat, and it was enlightening. And I think anybody who hears this is going to be motivated if they have a pulse. Honestly, if they have a pulse, if they care about the Virgin Islands, if they want to do better in life. If they just needed a good story itself of someone who is from the soil that we're from, that went through the fires that we went through and made it out, and is a proud Virgin Islander, and still in his heart cares about it so much that at the core of everything that you're doing is still for the roots that you're from. And I think that's very beautiful, bro. And I'm blessed to be able to deliver that story on this platform, bro. If you have anything coming up that you want to plug,
yeah, man. So I close it out by saying, man, thank you, Kem, for being a supporter from the beginning of the gathering spot, and you always showing love from the second that we've interacted. So I appreciate that. I want to shout out all the other man them in Atlanta from home that'll be doing their thing. Man them like my boy them Matty and Rash Kamal and all them man who doing their thing while more. I want to shout that man out. I want to shout out my part them home too. Nothing ordinary. Jamal, of course. Van. I want to shout out my boy them CJ and Rocco and the rest of them man from upper class. A lot of man doing their thing, man. It's a blessing to see that. And
beautiful.
My closeout thing I'd say is a quote that my godmother tell me that stuck with me forever. When she said just as a line when she was like, I believe that you from here and you should be talking to me saying like how I should be able to come here and live good because that's my birthright. And I take that and I turn that into kind of like a slogan or a motto I live by now, and it's just like the Virgins is our home and we living well here is all of our birthright. So just believe that and internalize that, and then from there you'll start to see things differently, because it don't make no sense that we the struggle on an island that politically black people are control, and politically black people is the dominant demographic, and politically more black people own their homes in the Virgin Islands than most places, because a lot of our family build their own homes over time and stuff. So we have a lot of things going for us. So just stay the course. And that we take our slice of paradise. That's the way it is. It's ours, and that we control it and have it. There should be And then to say man have to move home, you know, is that you should be able to move home if you want to. Use your home. Just like you should be able to go back home into your parents' yard whenever you want if you need to. The Virgin Islands is all of our yard, and we should be able to do what we want and need to there.